everyone. My name is Ashwin Mahalingam. I'm a professor in the Department of Civil Engineering at IIT Madras. I have with me today Mr. Kaviraj Nair, who incidentally is also an alumnus of IIT Madras from the 99 batch, did his BTech in Civil Engineering here, then went to IIM Bangalore, and for the last 2 decades has been working with several of the leading corporate houses in India. About a year or so ago, Kavi came back to IIT Madras to head the Office of Institutional Advancement. So, Kavi, welcome and thank you for sharing your views with us.
Thank you, Professor Ashwin. Thank you for all the kind words.
Yeah. So, Kavi, why don't we start by having you tell us a little bit about this Office of Institutional Advancement. What exactly does this office do?
Absolutely. So, the Office of Institutional Advancement was started with an objective to help create enduring assets for the institute. Right? As in any other university, this office helps in providing financial stability and long-term sustainability for the institute over a period of time through collaborations with alumni, corporations and other foundations and similar such organizations. So that is essentially the work. So as you would know, we have about 55,000 alumni over the last several years, right? And spread over 82 countries globally, and about 30,000 of them in India and another 15,000 of them in the US and all of that. So we try to engage with them on a regular basis in a meaningful way, and these collaborations help us in the institute in several ways. Similarly, in India, as you would know, each corporation has to give 2%, each profit-making company has to give 2% of the profit back into the society as part of socially relevant projects, CSR projects, right? We try to leverage these funds to support several of the research initiatives and socially relevant projects driven by the faculty and students of IIT Madras. So that is the broad contour of our work.
Excellent. Thanks, Kavi. You mentioned that the Office of Institutional Advancement is trying to help create enduring assets for IIT Madras. Okay. Could you talk a little bit about the kinds of enduring assets and perhaps give some examples?
Oh yes, absolutely. So broadly, these fall under 3 categories. So one is, let's talk about infrastructure projects for the institute, right? These could be for example, the stadium that we have, which was renovated with the help of funding from one of our alumni, in fact, Mr. Prem Vatsa. So it's now called Manohar Vatsa Stadium. Then several of the hostel renovation part is undertaken with the help of alumni funds. A new sports complex, indoor sports complex is being built. So these are some of the projects in the infrastructure category, right? Then of course we have a lot of research centers, research projects. These could be in the form of, say, centers of excellence. We have numerous 30, 40 plus interdisciplinary centers of excellence which try to solve a particular problem as opposed to looking at a particular research area in isolation, right? So this could be interdisciplinary projects, center on climate sciences or center on water or environmental technologies or assisted mobility or any of those things, right? So these are other examples of centers of excellence. And then of course, the student-centric projects, ultimately all these projects, as you would appreciate, will end up benefiting the student community, but then there are specific students projects like the student fellowship. And there are different flavors of this, right? Say increasing the number of women student scholars in STEM area, right? So this could be like PhD fellowships for women, student fellowships, merit-cum-means scholarships, endowments, which again, on a long-term basis it remains, right? So these are some of the examples of, I would say, enduring assets. A chair professorship is another example, right? So any of the alumnus or any of the person who wishes to honor, a particular person in his family or elsewhere donates a chair in the name of that person, right? And this helps in further providing impetus to specific research areas, right? So it's also a method of recognizing the faculty for his or her track record.
Excellent. So it looks like the office helps both in terms of the human resource capacity development, supporting students, supporting faculty as well through chair professorships, but also through helping develop better infrastructure, whether it's research-based infrastructure or hostels or other departmental buildings for the institute.
Absolutely, you're right.
One of the things you spoke about was corporate social responsibility. And I see you also have a book with you on some of our corporate social responsibility efforts. So could you tell us a little bit more about some of those and how the office has supported the use of corporate social responsibility for creating impact through IIT Madras?
Absolutely. So in fact, I would like to introduce this book also. This is a coffee table book that we created, Technology for Social Impact. In fact, IIT Madras is motto itself in that area is how do we orchestrate tech-enabled social transformation, right? This actually talks about some 24 case studies based on the projects that were carried out in the past. There are several more, in fact. So what we do is that we look at, we do prospect research, right? Like we look at the various organizations, try to understand what are the various themes of corporate social responsibility that resonates with them. For some people, it could be skill development. For some, it could be environmental related areas. For someone else, it could be like healthcare related areas. We kind of reach out to those people. Internally, I have also a repository of more than 200 projects gathered from various faculty members, right? These projects have specific objectives, deliverables, and all of that. We kind of facilitate conversations with the corporate entities for these faculty members and try to customize the projects as per the requirements of the specific donor entity, right? And then based on that, clear milestones are identified, their deliverables are identified, timelines, commercials, all of them are worked out. We work on the project as per that. So I think, so that is a broad contour of engagement of we sign an MOU with the respective company. And going forward, there are clear mechanisms for tracking the progress and assessing the impact of this project. So I think that is broadly the contour of any of the CSR engagement.
Thank you. And having participated in some of these, I think this fills a very nice gap in the IIT ecosystem where a lot of us do research, but don't necessarily have the time to translate it into something that benefits the common man, whether it's providing drinking water or sanitation and so on. And I think this is now a mechanism where we are able to partner and deliver impact to the common.
No, absolutely. In fact, if I look at some of these projects, Schedule 7 actually, Schedule 7.9 actually allows CSR funds to be deployed in scientific research, and it specifically calls out names like IITs. Right. So if you look at the CSR projects that we try to work on, there are three categories, right? Like one is technology development. This could be any of these hardcore technology development. Like for example, Emphasis supported us last year with the help of helped us set up a quantum computing center, right? So around quantum computing and related technologies. There is another one on energy assessment, right? Like say for MSMEs, like so Kotak actually has helped us set up that center with CSR projects. L&T Infotech actually provided CSR funds for quantum related research as well as 5G related research, where CSR funds were actually used for hardcore research purposes. The second bucket I would talk about is deployment of existing technologies. So we have developed several tools and technologies in healthcare, for example. Some of this diagnostics, it could be for population sampling on cervical cancer related areas, or it could be like infant retinopathy related. So contactless diagnostics, all of that. So where the technology has already been developed, and we kind of tend to deploy them. Right. So that is the second part of it. Third, of course, is providing equal access and enabling access and facilitating education for, financially needy students. Power Grid helped us get, with merit cum means scholarships last year. So these are three broad areas: technology development, technology deployment, enabling access to various people. These are some of the broad areas where this is used.
Excellent. Thank you. So that helps us understand a little bit about the kind of impact we can create through this office to the external world. But I also wanted to talk about the kind of impact you're creating internally. Could you talk a little bit about the size of your operation? How many people are part of the office? How big is it? Things like that.
Yeah, so broadly talking about, there are 3-4 teams that are working, right? Like, so first is a team working on prospect research, which ultimately falls under the broader marketing area because it's about strategic marketing, right? So prospect research, where we look at various people's profile, be it on the alumni side or on the corporate side. Right? Understand what are the philanthropic themes that resonate with them, as I mentioned previously, and they're giving capacity, or the budget size for a CSR project for a corporate. So that's one aspect. Second, of course, is a team that works on proposals, which works with internal stakeholders like yourself. Like, we have worked on several projects with you, for example, in sustainability related areas, right? Try to understand your requirements, try to kind of capture that in a proposal, detailing out what could be potential impact on a long-term basis and things like that. The third part is actually the fundraising team, right, which actually reaches out to various potential donors, pitches these projects and establishes the initial the contact, and they actually manages the whole relationship with the external world, be it on the alumni side or on the corporate side. And these people kind of facilitates relevant discussions, right, between the proposer as well as the donor. And the project finally leads to a closure and an MOU is signed and all of that. Then there's a team that kind of works on deployment, making sure that this money gets deployed. But deployment essentially falls within the ambit of the institute per se, and we kind of help coordinate with the institute, try to assess has the money been deployed properly. And the last part is a donor stewardship team, which is very important, because once the money is spent on a project, the donor is very keen to understand, right, has the money been utilized the right way. So this donor stewardship team is tasked with having regular communication with the donor recognition, donor events, and also providing them with various reports. It could be compliance reports, it could be like utilization reports, like all of that, right? So they give them the confidence that, as you would know, like, we are also a very transparent organization, CAG audited organization, right? So, but this, the donor stewardship team is the one which kind of provides regular reports to the donors. And the last team I want to talk about here is the marketing team, which is tasked with communicating on a regular basis. This could be through emails, this could be through newsletters, or the social media posts, various things, and give the donors both on the alumni side as well as on the corporate side updated about various initiatives that IIT Madras is doing, right? So communication is the most important part of any relationship, as you would imagine, right? So that's the role that a marketing team performs. And across all teams, I would say that we have more than 40-45 members. This includes a front-facing team as well as a support teams, like including the IT, marketing, all of that. So that's the size of the team.
Fantastic. And in terms of the amount of funding you've been able to raise, both in terms of the enduring assets you're trying to build or the corporate social responsibility projects that we're trying to execute, could you give us some rough numbers of?
So these are roughly in the region. So for example, last year we raised more than about 132 crores from both alumni as well as the corporate side, roughly 50-50, if I may say. Like, I mean, alumni was a little more than the corporate side. This time we would be close to, the year is yet to end, and lots of deals actually happen in the months of February and March, but I'm hoping that we will close somewhere close to 200 crores. So that's the idea we have, yeah.
So that's a non-trivial number compared to the overall budget of the IIT. So the office is certainly helping us push the needle forward.
I'm hoping so. Whatever, with all humility, whatever little bit we can do to contribute to the institute as an alumnus and as a professional in my current role, it's a very gratifying thing, actually.
Yeah. So thank you, Kavi. Thank you for giving us this overview of the Office of Institutional Advancement. We have a few more things that we'd like to ask you, perhaps in our next episode, on your visions for the office and how people can actually engage. But thank you so much for taking the time to give us an overview of what the office actually does.
Thank you, Ashwin. This is indeed my honor and my privilege to have this opportunity to speak with you on these areas. Look forward to the next episode.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. We will have another episode with Kavi, where we will talk about some of his goals and visions with regards to the office and a few other questions that we have. Thank you.
Thank you.